Good morning, Grace Tribe. It's wonderful to see you guys. We have lots of people chatting it up in the comments. I have to laugh. I was so excited to hang out and sip coffee. I even thought, I'm going to start the broadcast a couple of minutes early. Let's just hang out live for the people that show up. And then we'll start the actual conversation at the correct time, do the intro, all that. So I was going to have my coffee ready and we were going to hang out and just chat. Yeah, I couldn't get my coffee maker. It was all user error. First, I poured already ground coffee into my coffee grinder. So then I had to get that out. And so then I put the grounds, I have a little bypass filter. You can put the grounds directly in and brew it from pre-ground coffee. And I did that and it just spit out water. So I flushed it out and put in fresh grounds again, because that's the coffee I had pulled out was grounds, not whole bean to be ground. So I poured in more fresh grounds and did it again through the bypass filter. Yeah, water again. Hot water. So I don't even have coffee. So I was running up here going, okay, now I'm late and I don't have coffee, much less being early and having coffee. So you have coffeeless Mike Daniel. Now, in all fairness, full disclosure, I've already had one cup. So I am, I'm good. Y'all give me a sound check if you haven't already. I haven't seen anyone say you can hear me or see me, but Donna's talked about frustrations of life, so you must be able to hear me. So quick sound check. Let me know you can hear and see okay. I even posted on Facebook how I was looking forward to hanging out and sipping coffee, talking scripture with you guys this morning, which we are still gonna do. But it was cracking me up that the day that I say that I was really looking forward to hanging out, drinking coffee with y'all this morning. I don't have any. I was coming up the stairs and told Stace, I said, how's that for a sermon illustration? I want more coffee. I'm talking about the error of wanting more. And as I am getting started, I don't have more coffee. Look, I'm sipping my hot water. Hot water. So, oh, good. I got a thumbs up on the sound. Listen, is this a thing? Is this a thing that we need more, that I need to do better, that I need more, that I need more than someone else, or that I have more than someone else? There's an awful lot of comparison. My question for you and for me today is not more of what? I could give you a list. If someone were to ask me, Mike, what do you want more of? Oh, I want more of this and more of that, more time, more money, more opportunity, more ministry impact, more. I could just give you a list of what I want more of. But if someone were to say, oh, you want more than, not of what, but more than what? Where's the line? What's the comparison? What are you deciding this is the standard that you need more of? Because there's always a bigger fish, isn't there? There's always someone who has more. There's always someone who has less. Who are we to say what is right for us? There's an error of more. And I think I used to say this all the time. I didn't think about it today until just now, but more is actually the enemy of enough. Have you ever thought about that? More is the enemy of enough. I can't enjoy having enough of anything as long as I want more of it. Whatever you've got, you will not enjoy if you're wanting more of it. I want more of this. I want more coffee this morning, and I can't enjoy that I've had enough. I'm fine. I'll be good. I can't enjoy that I've had enough as long as my focus, my need is for more. I can't enjoy enough as long as I am needing more. But the moment I don't need more, I can enjoy that I've had enough. Are you more, or needing more, or pursuing more, or wanting more, or less? Are you less? Are you too little? Are you too lacking than those around you? And is that okay? Are there people that you know that just have more financial freedom than you have? Are there people that have more opportunity than you have, or more popularity than you have, more impact or favor with your boss than you have? Are there people who have more around you? Or are you the one who has more? Or are you the one who has less? And is that okay? Who's to decide where the line of enough is? Let me suggest something. This is just practical, daily living, how to live a satisfied life. Um, Maybe the line is right where you are. Because if you got a little more, you could decide that the line was a little further on. And if you had a little less, you could decide that the line is way behind you. You still have more than enough. What if the line of enough is right where you are? Y'all may remember in Luke 22, the story of Peter being sifted. Do you remember that? Jesus said, "Oh, Peter, 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 Peter. The enemy, Satan himself, has demanded his right," is what the actual language in the original text is. The enemy, Satan himself, has demanded his right to sift you like wheat. Ah! But I prayed for you, Simon. In fact, I have it right here for you. Luke 22, verse 31. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked. Now, again, that phrase, this is the NIV, but that phrase really is demanded his right. He's calling in his chip that he has rightfully to sift you like wheat. Yeah, I don't like that translation. I don't think that's even the NIV. Not all, but you. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail, and when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Yeah, I have to, I just copied and pasted that, and I don't know what translation it was from, but that's not a great translation that I just shared with you. It's Satan has demanded his right to sift you, Peter, like wheat, but I have prayed for you that when that your faith may not fail, and when you return, strengthen your brothers. Listen. The reason Satan had a right to sift Peter, have you ever thought about this? Why in the world did he have any right at all? What gave Satan any right at all to Peter? Ah, when Jesus says sift like wheat, what he means, we don't always, I think of like a sugar sifter where you put sugar or flour in a sieve, and you crank it out and it sifts it, pushes it through the little sieve on the bottom so that it refines. It's all evenly uh, uh, separated. But what he's talking about is people would go into a grain bin, a hole in the ground, and they would pick up the wheat with all of the shells and holes and chaff and everything, and they'd put it in a basket, and they'd shake the basket really violently while they were down in this little walled, it's kind of like a shallow well, this little walled hole in the ground. And they would break all of the wheat into its parts, but then you just got a pile of chaff and grass and stalks and the wheat kernels, and they just all piled up together. And when you shook it, the wheat kernels would fall apart, and so they get to be kind of crummy, and so like tiny little rocks. So they would then throw it all up in the air above the wall, so someone's down in the little walled grain sifter, and they throw it up in the air, and the wind would blow all of the chaff and the wheat would fall back down. And they would shake it a little bit more, and they'd throw it up in the air, and the breeze would carry off all of the chaff, and the wheat would fall back down. And they would do that until they just had mostly the broken wheat left in their basket. They're breaking off everything that isn't wheat and letting the wind blow it away, so that what they end up with is pure, nutritious, edible wheat. It's sustenance in a basket, something that you can make food with. Don't miss this. This is a big deal. Jesus is saying, Peter, the enemy of your soul has a right to sift you like wheat and see what's left. But I know the beginning from the end from the beginning, and I have prayed for you that when you return, because you will return, that you will strengthen your brothers. You will be, having broken off everything that is not of value to you, you will be sustenance for others. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Now, I love to teach this passage, and I can't get into the nitty gritty. It's been years since I taught it, but it's great. Maybe we'll come back and teach this passage. But really, what I want to look at is this idea that you can never win by comparison. Why did Jesus say that to Peter, and why did Satan have a right to sift him and see if anything was left? It's because just before this passage, Jesus is talking to the disciples, and Peter says, it's in the upper room after dinner, and Peter says, all of these may leave you and forsake you, but I will never leave you and forsake you. I love you more than these. They'll leave you, they'll forsake you, but I will never leave you or forsake you. I'll go with you even to prison and to death. I love you more than they love you, Jesus. And even if everyone else abandons you, I will never abandon you. I am more than they. I love you more. I'll do more. I'll go further. I'll be better. They may all leave you, but I, not me. Do you see the comparison? Why say that? Why not just say, hey, I don't know what everyone else is going to do. I don't know if they're in or not. Someone probably has better tenacity than I do, but all I can say is that for me, I'm not going to leave you or forsake you, no matter what. I might not be the only one. I might be the only one, but if it's just you and me, or if it's 1,000 people, I'm not leaving you. He didn't say that. He said, I will not leave you like everybody else. Everyone else might leave you. Everybody else could forsake you, but I'm better than they are. I'm more. I'm better. I'm further. I won't when they will. His hope was not in his walk with Christ. His hope was in being better than everybody else. Having more, being more, doing better. We can never win by comparison without leaving Christ out. I can't say I'm better than them. I'm more righteous than them. I'm better at something than them. I deserve more than them. If I'm comparing myself to anyone so that I can be better, then I must be leaving Christ out of the comparison. Am I more righteous than Christ? Am I more lawful than Christ? Am I more intelligent than Christ? Do I have better character than Christ? I can't say that I am more or I am better than anyone and make myself feel okay unless I leave Christ out of the comparison. If I put Christ in the comparison, then I'm never more apart from him. I'm never better apart from him. I'm never enough apart from him. And with him, I'm always enough, but I'm never more. In Christ, we're never more. We're always enough. Without Christ, I'm trying to be better by comparison. I'm trying to have more by comparison. I think that I'm lacking by comparison. I think that I need more, need to be better by comparison. You need to be more righteous compared to whom? I either have to leave Jesus out of it and think, oh, they're more righteous than I am. I need to be righteous like them. Or I'm more righteous than they are. And so if they're okay, I'm okay. But either way, I have to leave Jesus out of the comparison. As soon as I put Jesus in the comparison, I'm going, well, I might be more righteous than them, but I'm not in my behavior as righteous as Christ. So I guess I need Jesus. And if I have Jesus, then he's enough. I can't ever win the comparison game or lose the comparison game without leaving Jesus out of it altogether. Does that make sense? Only with Jesus in it do I have enough. And when Jesus is in it with me, I never need more. I never am lacking. He's always enough. When he's out of it, I might not have enough. When he's out of my comparison, I might think that I have more. I might think that I need more. But there is no more. There is no less when Christ is the source. Because when he's the source, what I have is just right. The line of enoughness is right where I am. Does that make sense? I don't need more coffee today. I sure do feel like it, though. Let me drink more hot water. For those of you just joining us, I couldn't get coffee this morning. So a second cup of coffee. I couldn't get my normal cup of coffee to share with you guys this morning. And the reality is, what if the line of needing more or of having less or being more or being less, what if that line that I can never say is true in Christ, I can only say it's true apart from Christ, I'm more or less than someone else apart from Christ. But with Christ, I'm not more or less than anyone else. I have sufficiency in and with him. What if the line of enough is not, if I just had this much, if I just was this good, if I could just make this happen, then I'd have enough. What if the line of enough is right where you are today with Christ? What if this is enough? What if today is enough? Not because it would be enough without him. It's never enough without him. Not because you're enough without him. You're never enough without him. But you're not without him. You're not without him. To win by comparison, or frankly, to lose by comparison to anyone else, you have to leave Jesus out of it. But if you don't leave Jesus out of it and he's not out of it, then it's never more or less, it's always enough. Because Peter said, they may leave you, but I'll do better. I will do more. I will go further, because he had hope in more instead of enough, because it was in what he needed, not who Christ was. Satan demanded his right to sift him like wheat. Let's just see if there's anything left when I'm done with him. And of course, Jesus prayed for Peter that when he returned, he would be sustenance. He would restore his brethren. I love that. We don't need to be more or to be better. We're not too little. We're not more than enough in and of ourselves, because he's already enough. Listen, right here, right now, right where you're walking today, right where you're breathing as you're going through the stressors of life, as you're going to work, as you're dealing with kids, as you're walking through circumstances today, when the tire goes flat, or the storm kicks in, or the hospital calls, or look, the line of enough is right now in Jesus. Jesus is enough. Jesus is enough. I don't need more because I have him. I am not too little. I'm extremely little. I'm a little guy. I'm not less than I ought to be because of him. I am not more than I ought to be because he is just enough. When all of the chaff has been beaten away, when the pruner has removed everything that isn't life-bearing fruit, what is left is Christ, and he will, through you and I, sustain others. Today, Jesus is the line, the plumb line of satisfaction in your life. He's enough. In John 21, this was actually a passage that I started with on this train of thought yesterday. After our talk yesterday, I was thinking, what are other things that I could say? Is this a thing or is this not a thing? More is not a thing. More is not a thing. More is not a thing. Enough is a thing. Does that make sense? There used to be old sitcoms, they would make a joke of going, is this a thing? And they'd, show some guy stacking bananas on his head and go, is that a thing? Yeah, no, that's not a thing. That was the joke. And so that's where I'm getting, is this a thing? Is more a real thing? No, more is not a real thing. Enough is a thing. Yesterday it was pursuing righteousness. Is pursuing righteousness a thing? No. Pursuing righteousness, I'll never achieve righteousness. But longing for righteousness, Christ is my righteousness. He is enough for me. So I'm not longing for, pursuing righteousness. I have righteousness. So righteousness is a thing, but pursuing righteousness isn't, because I have him. He is my righteousness. Today is more a thing. No, enough is the thing. Look, when they had finished dinner, Jesus had been crucified, resurrected. Peter had denied him 3 times. And then the cock crowed and he wept bitterly. Jesus looked across the courtyard at him as the rooster crowed, and Peter wept bitterly. He knew that he was not more. He was not enough. He wasn't any better. And what his hope was in, what his identity, he thought, was in, where his significance and security had been, was all beaten away like chaff and blown away in the wind of circumstance. Beaten away in calamity and blown away in circumstance. And he is looking and has nothing but Christ alone. But my friend, when you find you have nothing but Christ alone, Christ is enough. Before you think it's just you and Christ alone, you think you don't have enough. But when Christ is all you've got, you think, I have enough. He and I, it's enough. when they had finished eating, Jesus. So here's the backstory. Jesus goes to the seashore and sees the fishermen off in the boat. This is after the resurrection. They've seen Jesus at least twice, and they're out fishing. They're not out doing God's work, right? They're not out spreading the word. They're like, okay, we were following Jesus. Jesus was crucified. The crowds have been scattered. The disciples are all in hiding. We need to eat. We need to make a living. They go back to what they know, which is fishing. So they're out on the boat, and Jesus shows up on the shore, and he's like, hey, how's the fishing? And they're like, yeah, it was horrible. It was awful. We didn't catch anything all night long. Now we're tired. We're coming in. They yell back at him. And Jesus says something that he said before. He says, throw the net on the other side. And they're like, what? Who's this guy? And they're like, no, just do it. And they're like, okay, we'll try it. And they throw the net on the other side. And as they try to pull it in, it's too heavy. The nets don't rip, though. And as Peter realizes that the sufficiency of the catch and the abundance of the catch and the sufficiency of the net, don't miss this. The catch is more than they can carry in. They have to literally drag the net alongside the boat to get it to the shore. The catch is more than they can pull into the boat. But the nets, unlike the last time they did this, before the crucifixion, now the nets don't tear. After the crucifixion, the nets hold. Before the crucifixion, the nets tore. They lost the load of fish. So now Christ has been resurrected. He's sufficient for more than they could ever hope or imagine. They have this enormous catch of fish, this overabundant catch of fish, and the nets don't tear. They can't haul it in, so they just drag it alongside the boat all the way to the shore. As soon as Peter realizes that they have more fish than they can pull in, but that the nets won't tear, he says, it's the Lord. He throws off his clothes and he jumps in the water and he swims to Jesus. I love that. An overabundance, but the nets don't tear. So he gets to the shore. He beats them in the boat. They're dragging this huge load of fish. It's months' load. They're going to be rich men, right? He shows up before they do. And as he's, dripping onto the shore of Galilee, Jesus is already cooking fish. Where do you get fish? See, Jesus is enough. He's cooking breakfast for them while they're hauling in this mega load of fish. They don't need their fish. He's got his fish. So Peter shows up and comes over and sits down. Later when they show up the fish, he's like, why don't you bring some of the fish you have? We'll take what you have and what I have, what you've done and what I've done. You and me together, not me apart from you, not you for me. You bring what you have, I'll bring what I have, and together we'll put them together and we'll share what we do together. Let's do breakfast. But before that, Peter shows up and he sits down with them, and as they're doing what they're doing, he says, Peter, Simon Bar-Jonas, son of John, do you love me more than these? See these guys walking along the shore? Peter, do you love me more than them? Oh, the question of more. Before, Peter was like, oh, they'll all leave you. They'll all forsake you. But I love you more. I'll do more. I'll go further. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I'm better than they are. And now he's like, Peter, Simon, son of John, you, do you personally love me more than them? And of course, Simon says, Jesus, you know that I love you. Yes, I love you. Then you feed my lambs. You feed them. Remember the wheat? You've been sifted like wheat. What's left? Well, if you love me, feed my lambs. But you didn't really answer my question. Peter, do you love me more than these? And Peter goes, Jesus, you know all things. You know that I love you. 3 times he asks him, do you love me? First time he said, do you love me more than them? And he says, yes, I love you. And he's like, yeah, but do you really love me, right? Compared to them, you know I love you, know all things. Finally, Peter gets hurt because, Jesus, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. But Peter never says, I love you more than them. He's learned the lesson of enough and not more. He's no longer saying, they love you, they don't love you, I love you more, I love you less, I'm better than they are, they're better than me. They, didn't stick with you, I didn't stick with you, we're all on the same bandwagon. I don't know. Maybe they love you more, maybe they love you less. Here's what I know, and you know it too. I love you. And that's the only qualification for being available for God's work. Out of my relationship with Christ, he can do what he wants with me. Feed my sheep. You've been sifted like wheat, and what remains of you, I've prayed for you, Peter, that you will sustain, restore, be sustenance for the brethren. Look, we're not striving for more, but we're resting in relationship. Do you love him? He's not asking you to be more or better of anything. And my friends, apart from him, you are not more or better unless you leave him out of it. Let's not leave him out of it. Let's make Jesus enough. Let's let Jesus be enough. We're not striving for more or trying to be better, but resting in the enoughness of relationship with Christ. We're not, it should say not, I typed that funny, not we are working, but we are not working to do better. We're just walking by grace. We're not striving for more. We're not not working to do better. We're walking by grace. Grace is always enough. It's always enough. The result of more is lack. If I want more, that means I don't have what I need. If I need more, it means that I'm lacking. I'm living from the lie of lack. I cannot think that I need more and not be living the insufficient life of the flesh. But the result of enough, Jesus is enough for me, is that I get to walk in the overflow of his abundance, and my nets don't break. Listen, if you have more than you can do today, that's okay, because Jesus is enough. If you do not have what you think that you need to get through this day, that's okay, because Jesus is enough. He is the line of enoughness. You don't need more. You aren't more apart from him. And with him, you're not more than you need. He is enough for you. My grace is sufficient for you, Jesus told Paul. Paul wanted things to be better, for him to be able to do more. I've got this work to do. I need to do more. I've got these obstacles, this thorn in my flesh. Get rid of the obstacles so I can be better. I can do more. And Jesus said, no, I'm enough. My grace is sufficient for you, in 2 Corinthians 12. Go read 7 through 10. It's amazing that Jesus is saying, don't want to be better, don't want to have more. Instead, trust that I'm enough. Now, does that mean that you can't ask God for what you want? Absolutely. But you get to choose between pursuing what you want and living from Christ as enough. So Jesus said, God, take this cup from me. I want this to be different. I want to not have to do this. I want the circumstances to be different than they are. But don't do what I want. Do what you want. Dare to pray to God today to not do what you want. Not my will just means don't do what I want. Where do you want to go to lunch today, Mike? Well, I'd kind of like a burger, but let's not go where I choose. Let's do what you choose. That's what we say, right? I don't want to be the picker. You be the picker today. That's what Jesus is saying to God. Look, if it were up to me, take this cup from me. If you're leaving it up to me, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do this. I don't want this to happen. I've never chosen to be independent of you. I don't want to experience independence from you, which is the result of sin. It is death. My separation from you would be death. I don't want to feel that way. God, take this cup from me, but don't do what I want. Let's do what you want. I don't want it, but I'll choose it. Isn't that powerful? God is not expecting you to agree with him about everything he's doing in your life. He's expecting you and wanting for you, for your sake, to trust him with what you happen to be wrong about. You don't know what's best for you. He knows what's best for you. And what he does for you is going to be perfect. It's not more or less, it's enough. The result of living this more paradigm is always lack. It's the lie of lack in the flesh. I need more, or I have less, or I'm lacking, is always going to lead us to be striving in the flesh. But the result of living from the enoughness of the sufficiency of Christ by grace is always going to be overflow. Peter, if I'm enough for you, then you go and feed my sheep. If in relationship with you and I, you have enough, you are enough, then the overflow of my life through you will feed my sheep. My relationship with you, your relationship with me, our enoughness, you and me together, is going to allow you to live in the overflow of my life for other people. If you need more, you're not available. If you have less, if you need to be better, then you're living for yourself and from yourself. That's all the lie of lack in the flesh. But if you and I are enough, then you're radically available for the life that only I can live in and through you. And you become the shepherd, the feeder, the nurturer of my life to my sheep. I'll provide, you share. I'll provide, you share. Here's a question of the day for you. We'll close with this. In what circumstances today can you give up the idea of more to live from the reality of enough today? Where can you give up moreness for enoughness today and have the hope of the overflow of Christ as you're walking in the Christ confident hope of his sufficiency, instead of you getting more or having too little or having less than someone else, being less than someone else, being better than someone else, having more than someone else? What if we could live in the enoughness of Christ and he could work through us for other people? I don't need more, but God, you can do what you want. I'm not I'm not less because I have you. I don't need more, and I'm not more because you don't need more from me. How about you just be enough for me, and we walk in the overflow for others today? Have the hope of the overflow of Christ's abundant life for the sake of feeding God's sheep. Does this make sense? I know this is 201 stuff. If we don't know our identity in Christ, we have no hope of this. We're trying to gain significance and security and sufficiency by our own effort. If we don't know that we're already forgiven, then we're trying to be better and we're trying to avoid bad. This is 201 discipleship, folks. We are not talking today about trying to figure out, is Christ enough? Is he in me? Am I already forgiven? Do I have security and significance in him? Those are all necessary conversations. But if you know who you are in Christ, what do you do with today? And what you do today is enjoy relationship with Jesus, who is the plumb line of enough. And out of the sufficiency of his grace, you get to experience the overflow of his fruitfulness, his love, his life, his peace, his comfort through you in your experience expressed to others for their sustenance. Oh, my friends, I pray for you and I today that when we are resting in relationship with Jesus Christ, that we will be the sustenance of divine wheat of Christ, his bread, his manna, the bread of life to our brethren. Where can you choose enough over more or less today? You're already okay. He's already enough for you. Righteousness is already taken care of forever. You get to rest in the perfect relationship of Jesus' sufficiency by grace, his enoughness forever for you. I want that for you, that satisfaction for you and I today. But even more than that, I want the joy and the peace and the love overflowing through us, the nets that cannot tear, as God provides supernaturally more than we could ever hope or imagine for those that are around us today. I love you guys. Let's just know him more. Let's grow in his grace as we depend upon him today. And let's go love each other like crazy, like only he can in and through us. I saw Zach Maldonado on our little chat today. Thank you, Zach. Love you, my friend. Love you all. Hope that you have a fantastic day. Guys, Zach has a new book today that I think just came out called Jesus is Better. I got a preview copy. Absolutely loved it. So go on to Amazon right now if you haven't already and order Zach's book. It's called Jesus is Better. I think that's right. Jesus is Better. And I'm looking forward to seeing Zach soon and getting a hard copy. I have an emailed copy that he sent me, but man, I can't wait to get a signed copy from Zach. at the Network 220 conference here in a couple of weeks. And boy, can't wait to read that again. I think there might have been a couple of little tweaks to it since I read my preview. So, but anyway, go to Amazon. If you want to support my ministry, it's a great way to do it. When you buy a book on Amazon, you can go to smile.amazon.com, and it asks for a charity you want to support. So you can support Mike Q. Daniel Ministries while you order Zach Maldonado's book. So please do that, whether you choose the charity route or not. It doesn't cost you anything, but whether you choose that or not, get Zach's book and enjoy that and support those who are sharing the message of Christ's enoughness by grace. So love you guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you, Lord willing, in our video tomorrow. Have a beautiful Tuesday, my friends. Bye.